Sally and I have always been focused on optimizing our health through exercise, nutrition, and sleep. But over the past year, we started thinking even more about something that's harder to control: toxin exposure. PFAS, or forever chemicals, these are everywhere: non-stick cookware, food packaging, and contaminated water. And they don't break down in the body. Research links them to endocrine disruption, metabolic disorders, and even cancer. That's why we've been testing our exposure through Function, an all-in-one health platform with 100+ advanced lab tests. Now they've added a PFAS exposure test, which is critical since 97% of Americans have these chemicals in their blood. Testing gives you the knowledge to take action. Function makes it simple, with 2,000+ lab locations and a membership at just $499 a year. And unlike other companies, Function doesn't push supplements or pharmaceuticals, just real, unbiased health data. You are your best health advocate. Get ahead of your health with Function. Learn more and sign up at www.functionhealth.com/Sally McRae. That's functionhealth.com/Sally McRae. Hello and welcome to the Choose Strong podcast.
That was so formal.
So good.
That was so good.
That was really good. Sounded good.
Hello and welcome just to another episode of fun.
Yeah. Of hilarity.
Of goodness.
Fun. Goodness.
And hello, Metal Monday. If you are on Spotify or YouTube looking at this, if this isn't a Metal Monday flex, I don't know what is. This is by far the biggest medal that I've ever received in my life. And it's for a 13.1 mile half marathon.
That is an amazing medal.
If you're looking at this right now, yes, this is the size of a plate. And yes, it actually has a ribbon to wear it. This thing is heavy. It's got weight on it. I just got back from the Bentonville half marathon. I had an appearance there in Arkansas. It was my first time to Arkansas. I don't really count driving through when Mackenzie was 4 months old. Remember we drove through it. I think we stopped at a Cracker Barrel and then we just continued on. It doesn't really count.
No.
I got to go to Bentonville and let me tell you, it blew me away. Amazing run community, hundreds and hundreds of miles of trails. I think it is, it's coined like the best, I think, mountain biking trails in the world, or like the number one mountain biking trail community in the world. I believe it. And Bentonville is just a cute little town. I want to go back. I told you that when I got home. We are going to Bentonville again. And
well, when you were out there, I'm not going to lie, I was wondering when you were going to text me a Zillow house.
There were so many cute houses.
Oh, I'm
like
sure.
Just straight. Like, I think the hotel we stayed in just opened up like 6 months ago. It was the Motto Hotel, although maybe they pronounce it Moto, because we got like bike stuff just even staying in there. And it's a bike town. It's MOTTO.
It's definitely Moto.
Which like Moto would be MOTO, but like Motto is MOTTO, but whatever. The Motto or Moto Hotel, and this is not an advertisement, all for it. One of the cutest, most thoughtfully designed hotels I think I've ever stayed in. I loved it. Great coffee, amazing restaurant, but I just wanted to hang out in the lobby. I mean, I didn't. We were going like 100 miles an hour while we were there, but so Camelback is getting into Walmart stores, and I believe this race might be sponsored by Walmart, because I'll tell you what, the Race Expo, I mean, you got a giant bag of stuff. I could not believe how much free giveaways you got at this race. If you are in Arkansas or anywhere in the surrounding area, you have a chance to do the Bentonville Half Marathon, which I also think there's like a relay and a 5K attached to it. But
what was in the bag? What'd you get?
Like
besides
tons of food and candy and drinks, and
candy?
I brought home like dog snacks for Bear. I mean, there was like everything. There was chapstick, and there was like deodorant and lotion and like honey and hot sauce, and I brought back several bags of full-size bags of candy for Isaiah.
It sounds like it was just a bunch of like leftover stuff. Like, hey, let's just fill the bags up with this stuff.
But it wasn't. It was like actually like good stuff.
Dog treats,
like good dog treats. So that was like super fun. And then, at the expo, we posted up at the Camelback booth, and I'll put up some video and pictures so that you can see. But this is where we got to really interact with the community as our first touch point. So Max and I were given these posters. Camelback made these huge posters for us, Camelback athletes, and we signed them. And I'll tell you what, if you guys were there, if you're listening this, I got to meet amazing families and a ton of kids who do triathlon.
That's cool.
Like, triathlon is so popular for the kids there. So I'm meeting all these kids and I'm like, what sport do you like to do? And I'm thinking I'm going to hear like soccer and gymnastics and basketball. And it was child after child. I do triathlon. I do triathlon. I was so impressed.
That's awesome.
The town is just filled with all these youth rock star athletes and got to meet their parents too. But I just want to say, just to give a quick shout out to the Bentonville, Arkansas run community, both road and trail. You were so warm and kind and welcoming to Max and I. We had the best time. And consequently, there was this horrible storm that rolled in. It rained the entire time we were there. It was so bad, thunder, lightning, everything, hard rain, that they moved last minute the race from Saturday to Sunday. And Max and I were giggling because we were like, dude, you cannot do that in Southern California. Like, if you have race permits for Saturday, that's all you get. But like here in Bentonville, they're like, we'll do it tomorrow. And it's not like this race was only, a couple hundred people. There was thousands of people running this race.
Yeah.
I just thought that was the coolest thing. So, but the running community was just awesome. And it was fun. Thank you for those of you that came out. People brought me gifts. I got soaps and perfume, macaroons, sweatshirts. I mean, I got so many kind gifts. I got to sign a bunch of books, a bunch of hats. The best part was just hearing a lot of really cool stories. People who are training for their first half marathon, people who are training for their first 100, and also people who have gone through a lot of challenges in the past couple years and are choosing strong and overcoming. So my heart was just overflowing with so much joy and just fullness when I left. I just got home last night. But yeah, that was just an incredible experience. And you know what? The truth is, Arkansas run community and trails, they don't get enough love. So shout out to the Arkansas run community. Big love to you guys.
Big love.
I will be back.
Yeah, I'm jealous you got to go. I wanted to be there. So we'll have to make another trip, Sal.
You were at home being the best dad ever.
I know. I was the best dad
I was getting
ever.
pictures of you guys on your own adventures, going out to eat great places. You were cheering for Isaiah's lacrosse game. I had a great time and had peace in my heart because I knew that Dad was home with Isaiah. So thank you.
You know what? We had a blast. We missed you, but we had a blast.
You did have a blast because you guys always have so much fun together.
We do.
You're just two peas in a pod.
Two peas in a pod. Well, thanks for updating us, Sal, on the trip. Tell us about BPN. You had a BPN athlete week as well.
I had a 2-week whirlwind.
You were gone
for
a while, yeah. Between. Yeah, so in that 2 weeks, you were a couple days in Austin. Tell us about it.
I started out, let's see, March, whenever it hits the springtime, historically, companies, that's when all of their promotions are coming out, their new collections are coming out, new products are coming out. And so they're doing a lot of events with their athletes. So usually between March and June, I have a lot of athlete appearance requests, and that's also when a lot of the athlete summits happen. So it's just historically a really busy time, and I just tell myself it's going to be busy, and there's no excuse to not get the training done. It took me a while to learn how to do that, but I'll tell you what, and I actually documented some of it. So for those of you that were following my stories, I'll put up videos right now of me running on the treadmill. I logged about 180 miles over the course of 10 days on a treadmill. I think I maybe got all of 12 miles of running outside in there.
And most of that was in the rain?
In the rain, yes. And
that's fun, though.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm really proud of it. So here's the thing. This idea of living a real life, I celebrate that. Having a family, having a job, having commitments, and a lot of responsibility on top of chasing big dreams, on top of trying to get those workouts in and then get the training in, take care of your body, rest, recover. It's really difficult when you're traveling.
Yeah.
But I love to talk about it and just kind of share how I do it because there are a lot of people trying to do that, whether they're raising little kids or they're working 2 jobs, they're going to school. It is not, it's not easy, and it takes a lot of discipline and commitment and planning to get those things done, and sometimes it's also just turning down the fun things. So, yeah, I'd say that every trip that I took, I turned down, like, the fun stuff or, some of the gatherings because I needed to,
Hop on the tread.
stick to the goal, yeah. I started out with the Athlete Week in, Austin, Texas. The Athlete Week was, like, 4 days long, and it was just I did not have the time to be there for 4 days, so it was a quick 24-hour trip for me. The BPN Athletes Bear Performance Nutrition, there's 25 athletes on our team, and we make up several different sports. We have powerlifters, triathletes, trail runners, road runners, track runners, high rocks, and, gosh, when I arrived, I've been so focused on Badwater that I've just been long sleeves and sweats in everything that I do. So I was kind of giggling because I was like, yeah, I was definitely off brand. So there was not a lot of footage of me. Like I was just like sweaty in sweats the whole time and doing my own types of workouts. So I did get a lot of messages. People were saying, wait, were you there? And I was like, yes, I was there. I just probably wasn't on brand. So, but I had a great time. I love my BPN teammates. Nick Bear is, he's incredible at creating community. Shout out to Tony, who's the team manager. I have so much love for him, and he wrangles all of us together. But the experience that we had was just unparalleled. I don't think I've ever been on such a team. In all the years and all the brands that I have worked with, we really are a group of people that support each other. And we all have Letterman jackets. So that was like the coolest thing ever was putting on this Letterman jacket. And, it's BPN athlete on there. But I just remember being in high school and having all these varsity letters, and I couldn't afford the varsity jacket. So I was telling Tony, I was like, this is so sweet. Like, finally I get my Letterman's jacket after all these years. But yeah, so that was pretty fun. From there, I think I came home for all of maybe 12 hours. I think it was 18 hours. I got in a workout, was able to go out to dinner with you and Isaiah, and then I shot up to LA for a 5-day photo shoot with Nike. And that role was a little bit different. So I'm a movement director, and which I love because I'm on the other side of the camera for that. But those are very long days. And it's shooting both stills and motion in 3 different locations around Southern California, working with a lot of talent. The production crews are typically over 100 people. Some of what we're doing, we're shutting down streets and corners, and so we have police officers out there. I mean, it's exhausting, overstimulating, and I am talking the entire day. And because the days are so long, it means sometimes I'm getting up at 3:00 in the morning to get my first training in. And then when I get home, when I get back to the hotel, it's going to the gym again and getting the rest of the training in. So one of the things that I showcased was 40 miles in less than 24 hours, which for some competitive road athletes and ultra runners, yeah, that's 20 miles a day. That isn't like that extreme. It's not that big a deal. But when you are managing a job, when you are managing like legit exhaustion on top of that, it gets super tricky. And so the way that I ran that schedule was I just had to be I was super strict with my diet. So I was just staying away from all inflammatory foods. I increased my protein really high, fruits and vegetables, drink a ton of water. Before getting on set. You can't really drink a lot of water when you're on set because you're just on the entire day. And then just committed to, I'm probably going to be tired of my workouts, but I'm going to get this done. I'm really proud of the work that I put in this week. And so it was all running on treadmills. And so that's really what I did for 5 days. I think over the course of 5 days, I logged 90 miles. And straight from there, I came home. I think I had 10 hours at home. I didn't even have 10 hours at home because I got home at 9:00 at night and I had to be up at 5 the next morning. Yeah, so I was like 8 hours. 8 hours at home, met my teammate Max. You're seeing a picture of him right now on the screen. Met Max at the airport. and we flew straight to Arkansas, and it was a long day of travel for us. We had a layover, and because we had to fly out so early, neither of us really were able to train in the morning. I think he ran a few miles before he hopped on the flight, but when I came back from my Nike shoot, you remember, I was so exhausted.
Oh, yeah. You're
I
beat.
I don't even think we even talked that much. It was like, and for the couples, like, I don't know if you've ever liked this, like when you come home from a really long day at work where it's just been hard and exhausting. This is where it's like so great when you are married to your best friend because you just like understand each other and there wasn't a lot of conversation between Eddie and I. It was like, we will talk later, but right now I have to unpack, do laundry, repack, scarf down some type of food. I think I ended up getting 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And I just told myself, I'll sleep on the plane. So as soon as Max and I touched down in Arkansas, we probably got to the hotel like around 7 o'clock. We were on the treadmills by 7:30, and we just look at each other, and he's like, Sally, I'll stay on the treadmill as long as you. I was like, I have to get 20 miles in. And so he was totally up for it because he's training for Cocodona 250, which is happening in like 3.5 weeks.
It's a little longer than 20 miles.
It's a yeah, but that's what we're doing. I mean, that's what we're pushing out every day. So we hopped on the treadmill.
Did you guys watch like a show or like what did you just
Our
listen to
treadmills were
music, or-
pointed at a wood wall. But that was like, the more Max and I like hang out, we're like, oh my gosh, we're very similar in a lot of ways. And I was just talking about how there's a lot of power in just getting on a treadmill and staring at a wall, like don't watch anything, don't put on music. And he's like, oh, I totally do that.
So you guys stare at the wall for 20 miles?
We did a few things, but like that was like part of our conversation that sometimes when we're in the garage or sometimes like when we're at the gym, one of the ways that you toughen your mind is take out distraction and stimulation. And it's really difficult. It's difficult to not put on Netflix. It's difficult not to put on your song because the reality is that when you're in these 200-mile races, you do hit points where you're just completely alone for hours and hours and hours. And if you're uncomfortable, if it's in the middle of the night, what do you do? If you don't know what that feels like, if you don't know how to operate in that, you're going to slow down, you're going to get discouraged, and you're going to drop out at the next aid station because you're just like, this is hard and long and I'm uncomfortable. And so it's just another way to kind of gain an edge on your mental training and put yourself in those, situations. I mean, they're fabricated. At the end of the day, it's fabricated mental training, but like I like to take advantage of it when I can. What I did a lot though, both in LA and in I did this in Austin too. So one of the days like the whole team went out to run, I got up at like 3:30 in the morning for the BPN athlete. I looked around where I could buy a membership online. I took an Uber and I got on a treadmill and I had a particular workout that I needed to do. But I watched this super old Badwater film from like 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And it was really good because it was just on YouTube. I like it because it just shows the whole landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been running just constantly in layers and it just like puts me there. It's like, it's so nostalgic because it's just such a janky film, but and there's a few of them on there and I just soak them up and I watch it on repeat over and over again.
Oh, wow.
And I don't even really care like the audio, like sometimes I just turn the audio off, but I just like look at the landscape and just
visualize stuff.
Yeah, it's my fourth time doing Badwater and I'm like, remember what it's like. Remember how hard it is. Like remember like those feelings of heat exhaustion and just how far you have to go and the heat coming off the pavement. And it's a good way to just kind of lock into that. So when Max and I started running, that's what I was watching at first, but then I would take a break sometimes and just, stare at the wall.
Yeah.
We were both about 10, 12 miles in and Max calls the front desk at the hotel and he's like, hey, what time does the restaurant close here? And we saw there's like a really swanky, cool restaurant. And they're like, oh, it closes at 10:30. And so we're like, all right, we will put in a food order like at 9:30 and we'll get sushi. So we ordered really good sushi. Max hopped off his treadmill because I was always like a mile behind him when we were running.
Mm-hmm.
And so he hopped off his treadmill. He went and got sushi for us and came back. We paused our treadmills and we ate a bunch of sushi and then finished out the rest of our 20 miles. And it was good practice.
Nice.
Toughening the belly and But yeah, doing that every single day. It was every single day that was on repeat. We ran twice a day. I would typically get up between 5 and 5:30 in the morning, which is hard when you go from West Coast to East Coast because I'm I'm getting up at 3:30, when I'm getting up at 5:30. If I
Yeah.
get up at 5, I'm getting up at 3. And and so it's just kind of every single day telling myself like this is worth it. We're getting the training in. You have to practice being tired when you're in a 200, when you're at Badwater. So this is the training that we're going to do. But with every passing day, it was just such a joy to be able to have Max there because he was hammering out the same stuff I was. We ran together every single day on the treadmill, and then of course, like in the storm, we got out in the rain and we ran too. But we get that morning workout done. We were with the community the entire day. We had to do photo shoots and film shoots on top of it. At one point, we were totally geared out in Fox racing gear, like full on mountain running gear, from shoes to helmets, like everything.
That's
And we
awesome.
did a full on shoot on bikes. Like we were just like laughing so hard because, just something that we've dipped our toes in as far as the cycling goes. But it is something that I want to do more. So it was fun to be able to bring that stuff home and, think about what bike I want to get, whether it's a gravel bike or a road bike. But yeah, I think finishing out the, 2 weeks of travel and logging the miles while I'm on the road, today has been a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah. Little off day.
Yeah. I know you and I woke up and I was like, I know we have a long list.
Yeah.
And it would have been really easy for us just to sit down and dive in. But instead,
We went to breakfast at Juliet's. Yep. Juliet's Diner? No. Juliet's
like cafe. Yeah.
Little French cafe, right? Yeah, it's
Like
good.
in Newport Beach, Back Bay area.
Yeah.
It was a legit date.
Had some good coffee. Sally made me
I made him change.
get dressed.
He was wearing these purple shorts that he loves so much just because they're comfortable.
So comfortable.
And I was like,
But Sally
please don't
hates
wear those.
Sally, yeah. I only wear them when she's not around, by the
I
way.
rarely say that though. Like
No, I know.
I like your style, I like the way you dress, but there's something about these purple shorts that just screams
Comfort. They're so comfortable. That's why,
like when
that's
you're
why
on,
I still
like,
have them.
Zillow looking for houses and the first word they use is cozy and like that thing's the size of a sardine can.
So
Cute
true.
and cozy home. You're like, no, it's not. It's
That's a closet. Yeah. Yeah. That place was good.
It was so
I got
good.
dressed up and went. Yeah.
But we
had some-
needed to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we do. I mean, you were gone for a couple weeks, and then we have a long list of to-dos, so it was nice to.
Well, I think it's
change it
couples.
up.
I mean, you and I have been married for so long. Like sometimes it takes you a while to kind of figure this out. But when you spend a lot of time apart, you're both living all these moments and all these things that are happening, and they start to pile up to the point where like you forget about them. You forget to
Yeah.
share those,
Yeah.
and so it's easy to feel like distant and kind of out of touch when you come home. So I think our breakfast this morning was like 3.5 hours
Yeah, it's true. It
long.
was.
And at one point, we're talking to Mackenzie. We had like part of that was like half-hour conversation with Mackenzie, which was so fun. Like we were all like laughing so hard because she was telling us some funny stories. But
And I had a killer breakfast burrito.
I had a killer sandwich.
Yeah, it was good food.
Highly recommend if you're like in Newport, Costa Mesa, Back Bay area. Juliet's just opened, I think, like maybe 2 years ago. I don't even know if it was that long ago.
And from the outside, it looks like it's
You
just
never know
a
because it's the bottom of
dark
like a
building.
business building.
Mm-hmm.
But you walk in and it is this adorable French cafe, and they serve everything on, like those English looking plates. It's the blue and white
Oh yeah.
with like the flowers and stuff. My mom had a whole collection of it. I think that's the other reason why I love it too. But it's very thoughtfully designed. All the little details from the wooden tables to the pastries.
Mm.
We got chocolate banana bread.
Yeah, we did. I only had one bite, but
I know you took a bite and you're like, this isn't for me. And I was like, bummer. That was the plan, actually.
Speaking of plates, do you, do we have that red plate that says like you are special? Do we have that plate? You know what I'm
I
talking about?
know, because I used to always make the kids' birthday cake
Do
on
we
it.
have one of those?
We do. Where is it?
I don't know, because
Do you need it?
Pam asked on
Aunt Pam?
Friday night at the
Where is this
game.
coming? Why is this coming into the podcast right now?
Well, we were talking about how we haven't seen each other, so it's all these little moments where you weren't there. I'm trying to catch you up.
Right. And
So-
so on the podcast, you're like, hey, where's that serving dish?
Well, you started talking about plates, and it reminded me. Anyways,
It's the special plate.
yeah, the special plate. Where it
So
says,
many
"You are
people
special."
listening have this plate, or at least grew up with this plate. You realize that, right?
Yeah, but what Pam does is she said she would give those when her kids moved out. She would give the plate to them, like
Aw.
as a parting gift.
Pam's so sweet.
Yeah, very sweet. So
She's a very
I was
thoughtful
thinking, I was like,
person.
"Where's ours? I thought we had one." And then
do
she
have
goes, "You can
one.
go on Amazon and get them." I guess they're on Amazon.
Yeah, we do.
Anyways, sorry to
we have
change
moved
it up,
so much, it may have been broken at some point, is what I'm thinking.
yeah, that's true.
Like
That's
in
true.
the move. You know, you always lose dishes in a move. But
Oh yeah, yep. Every day I set an alarm for 9 p.m. It reminds me to wind down, boil some water, and drink some hot tea. I usually have chamomile or decaf green tea, but the one thing I always add to my tea is Monocora honey. I really love honey, and this is the most delicious honey that I've ever had. Monocora honey is rich, it's creamy, and contains powerful nutrients to support immunity and gut health. And it has 3 times more antioxidants and prebiotics than your average honey. And now it's easier than ever to try Monocora honey. Head to monocora.com/Sally to get $25 off the starter kit, which comes with an MGO 850 Plus Manuka honey jar, 5 honey travel sticks, a wooden spoon, and a guidebook. That's MANUKORA.com/Sally for $25 off your starter kit. All right, so this week is a big week for me, Sal. It is Masters Week, and I don't care if there's only 2 people out there listening that are like shaking their fists like, yes, Eddie, you are talking my language right now. It's a good week, and I'm not going to lie. Historically, this week has been the least productive week work-wise, like the whole year, because of the footage that is available to watch guys practice now. So I set up my fantasy golf Masters tournament like team. Pretty amped about that. So it's a good week. I got Masters actually playing over here to my left. So when Sally kind of is boring me and saying things I'm not listening about, like I got the Masters going on. So
let's pause
I
on
got
that
a
last
great-
sentence right there. Just all of it. The fact that out of your screen view, viewers, is the Masters playing over here? Yes, it is playing up on the screen.
Yeah. Well, it's not
I-
technically the Masters. It's like highlights from other years, but I know what
Right.
you mean.
That needed to happen while we're podcasting. And then also while you're talking on the podcast, boring me. Let's talk about that too. Like, what?
Okay. Anyways,
Who do you want to win? Let's just talk
No,
about that.
I was going to ask you that.
Who are the big
question.
names? Who are the big
Who
names?
do you want to win? If you had to choose one, like who's your guy? Who's your guy this year?
Well, we
Stop
know that
Googling right
I'm
now.
not Googling.
Just give me a
Okay,
name.
can I tell you what I was just doing right now?
Sure.
Okay, one of my filmmakers is getting back to me about a date that I needed him to come out
Okay,
here. And he's
well,
saying, I'm
that's-
in, I'm booking my flights right
Okay,
now. And I was
let's
like,
focus.
yes.
Let's focus. Who's your guy? Who's
Well, we
winning?
all love
Who's-
Scotty
Scotty who?
Scheffler.
Thank you. Yes,
What?
we do.
Wow.
I'm just asking.
Wow. Are you hoping that I get it wrong? I mean,
Scotty. He's the man.
Rory has been in the game for a long time,
Yeah.
and he's a fun follow.
Yeah.
I know you're not a top fan of
I'm not
Rory
a huge
McIlroy.
Rory fan, no, but
He's Scottish.
I'm a Scotty fan. He's Irish.
I mean, Irish.
Yeah.
I knew that. I knew he's
I know,
Irish.
I know you knew that.
All
right, so you're going with Scotty, or is that your final answer?
I don't really know the other big names that are in
Okay.
there, honestly.
Yeah.
Outside
no, that's a
'cause
great choice.
Tiger Woods isn't there.
No, he had surgery. He's out. So-
he's. I can't wait for his son.
Oh, yeah, he's gonna be good.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
He is so much like his dad. His swing, even the way he
He's got a
leans
great
on
swing.
his, even
Yeah.
the way he leans on his.
Yeah, a lot of mannerisms.
His man, it's
Yeah.
really sweet, and you can just tell he adores his dad. It's
Yeah.
like the sweetest thing.
Yep. So, all right,
it's
Masters Week.
Masters Week. I'll tell you what, too. I literally was asking Eddie. I was like, "Hey, I have a training camp. I'd love for you to come." Look at your face right now.
What? Go for it.
And I told him, I was like, these are the dates. And he's like, yeah, I could be there. Me totally forgetting that it's Masters week.
Yeah.
And like, he told me he could be there. And then it wasn't until this morning that he like started talking about Masters. I'm like, oh, that's why you had that response, is because it's Masters week. And I completely understand. And I said, you know what? You do not need to go. And I didn't mean it in one of those, like, now I'm going to go grumble and complain in the other room and like pretend that I'm happy, but I'm not. No, I really.
You are a priority in my life. And you know that. You always are.
But I do respect Masters week.
Except for Masters week.
New shirt coming out, you guys. You are priority in my week, sweetheart. Except for Masters week.
Except for Masters week.
Except for, and then insert whatever it is that you men are passionate about. Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Speaking of, well, tonight is the finals for the the March Madness too. It's a big week. March Madness is finalized tonight.
Seems like our son's beating you.
Yeah,
because
I'm just gonna go on record.
Put down the wrong winner.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on record right here. Since I last podcasted, you guys heard that I had a perfect bracket. I was 3-0 at that point, and shortly after that, my bracket was completely busted.
Well, that's because this team out of the middle of nowhere won.
Yeah.
I mean, so all the perfect brackets went down to like there's 4% left.
Very
after
quickly.
day one.
Yeah, so I'm out. So my bracket is no good. And your team, North Carolina, didn't fare too well. So, but it was a good choice. That's a good pick. Usually a solid pick.
Nice try, sweetheart.
Yeah, nice pick.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? I think you need to announce some winners for
let's just talk about that.
Let's go ahead and talk about it. Mobility March. We had a challenge in your app that a lot of people were crushing. 31 days of mobility, and you picked some winners. You had 4 grand prizers and 4 runner-ups.
Were you trying to figure out how do you say that properly?
Yeah, that was weird.
4 runner-uppers?
4 runner-uppers?
All right. Well, first of all, I just want to give a huge shout to everyone that did participate. It was really fun seeing you guys show up each day, and the feedback was incredible. People noticed, as even just after the first week, that they were feeling better in their running. They were feeling better just head to toe in their everyday movement, which is really important. I mean, I don't think that it is just if you run, you should do mobility.
Yeah.
It is something that you just feel better.
Yeah, to that point, my dad just got a gym membership, right? Like that's his first gym membership I think ever in his life, and he's in his 70s. So, and the point is he got because he was struggling to pull up his leg to put a sock on. He's like, all right, I need to get a little bit mobile. So,
you know that your parents listen to our podcast.
No, they don't listen. So.
They do. Your mom watches it.
I know, but this is factual. And
hey, I'm looking out, Dad, Mom. I'm looking out because I'm not sure they want you to like share that information.
Come on, like that's I like that. So he's getting mobile. So
I do like
is
that.
Important.
Well, your dad has always been so active. He's always, since I've known, he's always been an athlete. He's riding dirt bikes, he's playing tennis, he plays pickleball. Like he loves to get out and do stuff. And I know it's frustrating when your entire life has been like that, and then suddenly something so simple as that is frustrating.
He has been entering some pickleball tournaments. So,
he's so good.
So maybe he's like
won pickleball tournaments.
So maybe he's telling me like, hey, I can't lift my leg to put my socks on. So that's why I'm trying to, do some mobility stuff. But in the back of his head, he's like, I'm gonna do this because I want to tear it up in some tournaments.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Your dad's so good. I love that about pickleball too. It's like that's the sport where it's kind of non-assuming sometimes, like who's gonna win.
Yeah, that's so true.
You think this like 16-year-old kid that's walking up that's totally fit and plays soccer is like gonna just crush, and then he just gets hammered by some 58-year-old out there.
Well, I like golf. Golf's the same way. So
good. Well, grand prize winners, I first want to talk about what it is that people are winning. It is, I mean, across the board, the prizes that we were able to give out were incredible. So huge shout out to my personal sponsors, Camelback for one, who's going to be giving out we can put the picture up too.
Okay, yeah.
So that you can see this lot of prizes, but the Apex Pro pack, which is what I wore in the Grand Slam, every single 200 plus mile race that I've done. I love this pack. And so all of the grand prize winners will be getting that pack. Nike Trail is kitting you out head to toe, including shoes. So you're going to get shirt, short, shoes. Or maybe it's, I'm sorry, I'm saying this wrong. I actually think it's a storm jacket and shoes. Which, by the way, their storm jackets are incredible. They're Gore-Tex, waterproof, fully taped. Like, I lived in that in Bentonville. That, like, I wore it every day. Kept me totally dry. Love it. Their jackets are awesome. We also have from Koros, my other sponsor, you are getting the Pace 3 watch and also the arm heart rate monitor.
Yeah.
So you get double up there. We stepped in. We sponsored this yourself, but Chirp Recovery Tools. Wait, is
You're
it
right.
called Chirp? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Chirp Recovery Tools. I love their stuff. And again, this is not like an endorsement. I didn't get anything from them, but we went and purchased this stuff just ourselves because we thought it would be really important to put in the prize package. But you're going to be getting some recovery tools from Chirp. We also got some headlamps from, I can't pronounce the name. It's like, I think it's just the K. It's like Coog or something like that. Again, those are things that we just picked out. Super lightweight, small headlamps that are very bright. And I think that especially if you're new to trail running, even road running, having a small, lightweight headlamp, either as a backup or just something you throw in your pocket, is a game changer. And so that's why I liked this one, because it's like really easy to put on. It's very lightweight, and I'm pretty sure these ones are the rechargeable ones. We also have from my other sponsor, Bare Performance Nutrition. They will be sending out a nutrition stack, and it's probably an endurance stack. So it's pretty much focused on that. You'll get G1M and you'll get the gels, and I'm sure they'll throw in their latest product, which I think is one of their most popular products right now. It's the Peak Sleep Gummy, which is a good recovery gummy that you can take at night to help with restful sleeping. It used to be a powder, but now it's a gummy, and it's incredible. What else do we have in there? There's so much.
For your app, you get a year.
You get a year in my app, and I think that if you are one of our grand prize winners and you already have it, you have the option of gifting it to a friend. And then Camelback. Oh no, this is the runner-up prizes. What else do we do for the grand prize?
Function Health. You get a year of
Function Health. Okay, so this is one of my favorites because the Function Health blood test, you get over 100 biomarkers tested, which I think you just need to check that out anyway.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a winner, go and do it. And they also do urine tests too. This is a little different than like Inside Tracker because like the Function Health, I had to take 2 tests within like 10 days. And then I also did a urine test, and it was like so intensive. I really, really appreciate it. Very helpful if you're training for something, or if even you're like struggling with some energy, or you're just like not feeling right. Like go and get like legit testing. I know sometimes when you go and you ask for a blood test from your doctor, they'll do like 12 biomarkers or they'll only do like a certain panel for whatever reason. But this Function Health one is awesome. We also got Lumen.
Lumen, yep.
Lumen, which it is like
it's a metabolic.
Like you blow into it and it can tell you if you are using fat as fuel or sugar as fuel, and like how to best eat for that day for your body, your body. There's a lot of other details attached to that, but that's just like off the top of my head how it's used.
Some Choose Strong swag.
We got Choose Strong swag, kind of head to toe gear there, hats, sweatshirts, shirts, sweats, and then
that kind of rounds it up.
Yeah, and our runners up will get smaller packages of that.
Yep.
So our grand prize winners are Chloe Frisbee, Ann Weiss, Zachary Thompson, and Tasha Grant. Runners up are Carrie Eller, Jen Sitz, Julie Kryus, Kai Rusis, I am so sorry, and then Dolores Macias.
Or Macias.
Macias. Yeah, Dolores Macias. Thank you so much for participating, and congratulations.
Congrats. Yeah.
We hope that you enjoy your gifts. I believe our grand prizes come in at over $2,000 in value each, and then runners up I think are $500 in each. So super fun.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And we are going to be doing more of these throughout the year. So stay tuned. Again, if you're not in my app, make sure you get in there. There's always good stuff. And I will be dropping a new program probably within the next 6 months. I'm super excited about it. Something I've been working on. But we'll do an announcement on that and kind of push out some assets around it. But
Yeah, cool.
the weather is warming up and I'm running outside a lot more than I have been in the past few months. And with a lot of outside running and training comes a lot of sweat. That's why I've been using Lumi Whole Body Deodorant, which can actually handle anything, unlike some deodorants I've tried in the past. Lumi is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. And all products are baking soda free and paraben free. It's perfect for before and after those long days in the mountains. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and then 2 free products of your choice and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. So go ahead and use code SALLY, SALLY, for 15% off your first purchase at lumideodorant.com. That's code SALLY at LumiDeodorant.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism. And then it gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food that you eat into fuel that keeps you going. Sally and I both have benefited from using Lumen, especially when using it directly after a run or a workout. Keeping track of your metabolic health will translate to benefits such as improved energy levels, better fitness results, and better sleep. The warmer months are coming. Spring back into your health and fitness. Go to lumen.me/Sally to get 15% off your Lumen. That is lumen.me/Sally for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. All right, before we move on, Sally, let's chat real quick about this episode. What do you think would be a sentence or two, just kind of summarizing what the folks listening are going to be able to learn from you today?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we are already like 35 minutes into
Yeah,
this
I know
episode.
that,
So
but-
hopefully when they saw the title, that's why they push play too. Like coming in and telling people in the middle of it, this is what we're going to talk about today. I think most people that listen to us we have a lot of regular listeners that know that, like, we got that banter in the beginning. But yeah, I think the meat of what we just want to encourage you today is just, it has a lot to do with like DNFing, restarting, and listening to your body. And I just want to use this moment to encourage people, because if you are listening to this in real time as we roll this out, it is the spring of 2025. And the spring is the start of a lot of racing for trail and road runners. So between March and August is when we see a lot of, like, a ton of racing happens. And then once we hit like September to December, we have a couple like big races that are dotted around that time. But I think what I like to do as we start to get racing underway, and also after I am keeping up with like a lot of the racing and what's going on in the community.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that had some heartbreaks,
Mhm.
some DNFs, some injuries this past weekend. And so I was like, you know what? I just want to take a moment to send some encouragement,
Yeah.
to send out a few reminders, because I have decades worth of all of that, of all the setbacks and challenges and DNFs. Like I've been there. And so I think I want to come in as a big sister, as a friend, as a coach, and say, you're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one finish line. And this is part of it. This is part of getting to that one finish line, is we rise and fall again and again and again. And every time we choose to get up and move forward, we're a little bit better.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what we're going to be kind of hanging on a little bit towards the end. But I'm going to throw it back to you, my darling.
All right, so I'm going to share real quick. a review that came in that was from Lily the Duchy. Lily the Duchy on
Cute.
Apple Reviews said, inspiring, entertaining, and so helpful. Started listening to the podcast during my Boston Marathon training this winter. Too many treadmill miles went by so much faster listening to you guys. Thanks for sharing all the real thoughts, the wisdom, and all the encouragement. I read your book too. Wow, you have been so resilient. May the Lord bless you guys. Thank you, Lily the Duchy. All right, the next one actually is on YouTube, and let me see. All right, so it's from Mrs. M08. You two are so funny. This podcast is such a stress reliever. Sometimes stress makes the process harder, so this podcast is a fantastic antidote to that stress. Mrs. M, I am funny.
Well,
Sally, not so much, but thank you, Mrs. M. Appreciate you listening and actually for sharing that. All right, so the next part, I'm going to read an email, and this email came in, and I wanted to highlight this because it was talking about some strong mind, strong body, strong love stuff. So this one came in. It says, "Dear Sally and Eddie, I discovered your podcast during the hardest year of my life. It included an unexpected breakup, watching my father in the ICU for 2 months, having my car stolen, and the eventual death of my father. I've always been a runner, but when I found myself unable to listen to music due to the emotions it brought up during the running, I turned to podcasts instead. Your podcast has propelled me through miles of running this past year, and sharing your faith has encouraged me to return to mine. I'm so excited to have PR'd and come in second in my division in a local 10K this weekend. I can't wait to continue listening to your podcast as I train from my first marathon this summer. The Grandma's Marathon, here I come. Thank you more than you will ever know." I'm not going to read the name, but thank you for sharing that, choosing strong through, man, some gnarly stuff this past year, the hardest year of our life. So we do appreciate you listening to us, and stoked that you found us and that we've been able to encourage you a little bit through that tough time. So
it's heavy. Yeah, I really appreciate that. We get messages weekly, and just really appreciate you taking the time to share with us because we care, and it always encourages us. It even encourages us in our work because it's incredible to hear that we in some way are able to cast a little light or a little encouragement or a smile. So
totally.
thank you.
Yep. All right. The next one is from the Strava group. Speaking of Strava, can we talk real quick about the spinning kudo? Did you see that?
No.
Okay. So it was, from what I've found out now from Strava and everybody in the group, was saying that it was an April Fool's
I'm literally
thing.
pulling it up.
Yeah. And well, the day I was given some kudos, I was like, this spinning kudo comes up, and I was like, what is that? That's the coolest thing. So I found out the next few days because it stopped, and I was like, what's going on? Like, we talk about that, and everyone's like, oh, I think it was an April Fool's one day thing. But anyways, people started talking about, and I like this, that the spinning kudo should be like a thing that should be
stay.
Yeah, it should be a staple. Like, if
Absolutely.
it's like, and it should be reserved for like a super kudo. Like, you got like
I think
PR,
that
or you got a
need to
double
trademark the
digit,
super
or
kudo.
no, I'm just
giant
saying,
kudo.
like, I think people are with me on this, that the spinning kudo needs to come back.
That's
So,
pretty fun.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was trying to give as many kudos that day just so I can see them pop up, and it brought a smile to my face. I'm not going to lie. Anyways, moving on. All right, Mark Buxman in the Choose Strong Strava group. He says, a little, in quotes, me time before the kids get the rest of my Sunday. And he was out running 3.6 miles with his dog. And I thought, man, I'm going to shout this guy out, Mark, because he's getting his run in, and then he's giving the rest of his Sunday to his kids. So I like that. Some good dad wisdom right there. Get your workout in, and then you have the rest of the day to chill and hang with your kids. So, Mark, well done, buddy. All right, last one.
Amazing.
Is from the Facebook group. It's from Jill. Jill says, I came across the Choose Strong podcast a couple years ago when I was trying to find something to keep my mind occupied while I was getting into running. I quickly fell in love with Sally and her encouraging words and down-to-earth conversations. I always feel like I'm sitting right there with her and Eddie, and I'm part of the conversations. Choose Strong and All You Do was on repeat in my head no matter what I was doing. And then it goes on. It's kind of long, but it went on and said that her husband was involved with these, they're called tactical games. They do a bunch of pretty cool physical, shooting and physical, whatever. So, but she says it requires a ton of grit and powerful mindset, and each stage is 12 to 15 minutes of grind. But anyway, she said she decided to get a Choose Strong tattoo as a reminder when things get tough to look down. She can see it and she can grind a little bit.
Is it up on the screen right now?
We
okay.
can do that. She said, this past weekend, I completed my third games event, and I even moved up a division, which meant heavier weights. I'm proud to say I earned third place amongst some of the very strong 40-year-old women, and my new tattoo came in very handy several times throughout the weekend, and especially on the fifth event, which was a 2-mile run. When I needed to push at the end, I looked down at my wrist, and you better believe that I actually use Pass, Gap, and Berry too, baby. Thank you, Sally, for being in my ear each week. You've made such an impact on so many lives, mine included. And when I walked off the stage this past weekend, I was so emotional and proud of my accomplishment and my ability to keep choosing strong.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Jill, well done.
Well done.
Props
Congratulations, Jill.
Yeah.
I was actually just on here on Strava. I just gave like
some kudos
30 kudos out.
30 kudos.
But Jill, wow. Well done. That's so exciting. It's probably a good time to say too that coming in our merch shop is going to be Choose Strong tattoos that you can wear on race day. We're also going to be featuring Don't Quit in the Middle forearm temporary tattoo, and then also a calf tattoo that says Choose Strong, so that you can encourage people behind you. So if you're powering up a hill and you have that Choose Strong tattoo on your calf, people behind you are going to see that. If you're, hammering in a 5K or pushing hard at mile 16 of a road marathon, these tattoos will both motivate you but inspire people that are running behind you too. So we're really excited to push those out. We are signing off on all that stuff, but we did a lot of it today.
Yep.
And then we're also doing stickers, and we are doing our Choose Strong yellow bracelets. So those will be in the shop too. You can get all three of these things. Are going to be part of it's basically like the motivation pack, or the Choose Strong pack. And you can get stickers, tattoos, and the bracelets. They are great gifts to give friends during their race week. They are wonderful for you to keep you motivated in your training and racing. But I'm really excited to push those out. So, for those of you that have like legit tattoos, which we get those all the time. A lot of people have been tattooing that permanently on their body. We love seeing that. So send those to us if you are someone that has gotten that on your body. We would love to see it, and I know it encourages us too.
Yeah, so. It's another incentive to work on those calves if your calves are small. Get those calves nice and big. Show off that big tat.
I love it.
All right, Sal, we're moving into the Sally Says segment, and I chose it's a pretty common question that comes in, but I felt it was very, I don't know, it felt like it was good for this topic that we're going to talk about today. So the Arizona Monster was this, well, it's actually still going on. And there's been quite a few DNFs in that race. And so a lot of those DNFs came up because of some pain, right? And so this question is tied to it. Yeah. And so the question is, how do you differentiate between pain that you can push through versus pain that you should stop for?
That's a fantastic question. And you're right. We do get this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the points that I think is, I'm going to touch on here right away, because there is this element of where we immediately judge ourselves like, oh, I'm not tough enough to handle this pain.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's that judgment on each other. It's like, oh, come on, you can push through that.
Yeah.
That isn't that big a deal. It doesn't hurt that bad. It's like, and so I think I'm putting on coach's cap, obviously, right now. I think it's so important that you own your own journey and that you own your own experience, because we all have a different relationship with pain. And a lot of it has to do with our life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I feel it's so important that every time you get knocked down or every time you do experience discomfort, that you use that as a stepping stone, because it allows you to learn how to work through uncomfortable situations. The truth is, pain is inevitable in our life.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the most common denominators among all humans across all cultures for all time.
Yep.
And so something I really need to make clear is that because we all interact with it differently, we can't really put people down for it. It's not fair. It's not right to put people down and say, well, like, toughen up, or that isn't that big a deal, because we all have to start somewhere. And we also don't know what other people have been through. And so some things it can feel scary. It can feel overwhelming. It can be stressful. And I think there's just a lot of variables that go into pain. I mean, I talk to people that are way on the other end, and they just are like, I just tell it to shut up.
Yeah.
And it means nothing to me. And it's like, wow, like that ability to be hard, stay hard, live hard. Like, I get that. I think that there is a lot that you can do in life when you just don't give pain life, when you don't focus on it, when you don't let it be the main character. I think that it's crazy what you can accomplish when you do that. But I also think there's so many other variables and factors that are attached to it that need to be talked about. And so, if I'm going to get really personal here, I interact with pain really differently. I do have a very high pain tolerance. I have a very high physical pain tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason for that. And so I grew up from the time I was a little girl, like, I can endure a lot of physical pain. It doesn't mean that I like it, that I look for it, that I hope for it, or that I think that I'm better than someone else, that I'm special, or like any of that. That isn't at all what it is. But I'll tell you what, when you spend a lot of time doing something, I think of people in other countries who run to school. You think of some of these communities like in Africa, where the kids literally run 8 miles. They run to school.
Yeah.
They run 8 miles to school.
Mm-hmm.
Then they run home for lunch. Then they go back to school, and then they run home when school's over. This is like how they live. If I told Isaiah that he had to run 8 miles to school, he would never get to school.
Yeah.
Or it would only happen a couple days a week. Like, that, it is mind-boggling, right? Like, we do not understand that here in our city. That never happens. We don't know how to relate to that. We don't know what that feels like. It's just like not a thing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's so important that we understand this about pain. Like, we all interact and feel pain very differently. We feel it differently emotionally. We feel it differently physically. Like, there's fear and stress and anxiety connected at all different points of that. And so when I talk about pain, I am very sensitive because I've traveled all around the world and I've seen pain in very real ways. And I don't think that, like, when I go to train, I would never say that I experience pain and suffering in my training or racing. I just don't. I sign up for that. I choose to put my body through that. And I think that when you experience the world, and when we open up our eyes and see that not everyone lives like us, not everyone has experiences like us, it also allows us to be more compassionate, more gracious, and we then start to understand that we're on a very unique journey. And so that's really how I'm going to approach this question, because I like to come in with athletes, and I have trained athletes for a couple decades now, and I have trained athletes that interact with pain in all different levels. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the stuff that athletes drop out of races for, I'm like, wow, really? You're going to drop out that easy? And then I have to stop myself and be like, hello, like, this could be their first time ever in their life feeling that.
Yeah.
Like, for some people, throwing up is terrifying in a race. And I remember the first time I threw up in a race, I didn't know what was going on. And then you have crew and pacers and family that's like, that's so dangerous. Like, what's going on? And like, yeah, throwing up it has like 100 different meanings as to why you're throwing up. But like,
I'm thinking of you your Cocodona with the blisters.
Yeah.
Like if I had even like a tiny blister, I'm tapping out. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, these things are so like I'm out. Like I'll see you next year. So
I'm glad
like,
I'm glad you used that as an example, because I had people that wrote me online after that. And some people said like, wow, I really feel weak because I've dropped out of a race for one blister on my toe.
That's
And
not.
my response was like, but I didn't know what that felt like for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that feels like for you. And so to be ashamed of dropping out for one blister while I had like 15 and holes, like that it should never be a point of comparison.
Yeah.
And I think like, and this is a very personal to me, but like this glorification of what athletes endure in races, like I don't always connect with that. As opposed to people that are going through really painful situations, or, you think of like our military and people going to war and people in war-torn countries and like what they are forced to endure day in, day out, over and over and over and over again. It's like, or, people in the hospital with terminal illness, like things that people didn't sign up for, right? And so when people say like, oh my gosh, I dropped out for this, I'm like, it's fine. Like, we're all signing up for these races, and like, sometimes we want to endure that stuff, and other days, like, I just don't want to endure that.
Yeah, no, thank
you.
you.
And I think that people should have the right to do that.
Yep.
You have the right to say, like, I could suffer. Like, I actually could choose to suffer and get to the finish line, but I don't want to. And I don't think that there is like, well, that athlete is better because they chose to, and that athlete isn't. And, I've talked to a lot of new ultra runners that are like, I will never DNF. I'll never have a DNF. I'm never going to drop out. I don't quit. And it's like, well, like apply that to your life, like real life where it really matters. But like, it's okay to DNF. It's okay to like get into the middle of a race and just tell yourself like, I'm going to live to fight another day. But like today is not the day. So and I think some people are kind of surprised when I say that, because people do come to me and very often, especially after putting out some of the 200 films, people are like, wow, like I can't believe what you endured. And I personally don't think it's a big deal. I don't, because I know where I came from, and I know how long I've been in the sport, and my experience is very deep, and it's vast, and it's like pain and physical pain and hurting and discomfort has been a part of my life since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So like for me, that isn't a point of like, yeah, I'm a better athlete. It isn't. I just have a different relationship with it. And I want to use my whole life experience for good. And so if I can tell a great story, if I can encourage someone that like, we actually are a lot more resilient and stronger than we think we are. And what is so important in that is that you understand that we're on a journey in that. And that sometimes it takes us years and years to see that. It isn't an overnight thing. It isn't when I just tell you, you're so much stronger than you think you are, that it just clicks and then suddenly like you can do the thing. Sometimes it's like these little baby steps of believing in yourself. It's baby steps of like, today I'm going to hope again. Today I'm going to dream again. Today I'm going to try again. And it might be 10, 11, 12 DNFs before you believe that. But all that matters in that is that you keep going. That's where the strength is. That's where like the overcoming is. It isn't that you never quit. It isn't that you never hurt. It isn't that you like are so hard as a rock that you don't feel anymore. I don't prescribe to that. I don't think we should be hard as a rock that we don't feel. I think you should feel. When you embrace what pain feels like, it's like that's what makes you human. That's what makes you relatable. That's what makes you compassionate. That's what allows you to give grace to other people, because you're like, I've been there, and I can sit next to you and tell you like you are going to be okay, and you don't have to be okay this second. It might take days, it might take weeks, it might take years. But I'll tell you what, when it comes to racing, I like to say to an athlete, like, you get to choose in this moment what story you want to write. And if that story is like, today I am choosing not to spend the next 18 hours crawling to the finish line because I want to go and try at another race, or I just want to like learn my lesson in this moment, get in a warm car, think about how I can be better, or it's just completely unfortunate. Like, I have seen legit injuries in races. Yeah, you should go take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you broke your ankle, like, there is I don't know the glory in, like, making yourself furthering the injury or permanently damaging ligaments and nerves by running on it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I also believe that we need to let people choose for themselves. Let people own their decisions. Let people make that decision. Because, when I did Cocodona and you know, yes, doctors and medical professionals told me, like, wow, if you would have stayed out there another day, you probably could have gotten like a staph infection, Sally. Like, it really could have been detrimental. Like, what could have happened to that wound? Because it was an open flesh wound. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
just when you think of blister, you think of one thing. That's not what it was at the end of that race. And I learned that lesson. I needed to learn that. In my mind, it was I can be in this pain for another step. I can be in this pain. I can endure this. And the joy at the finish line of knowing that I can endure that, that's something personal to me. Is that something that I'm like, hey, everyone needs to do that? No, I don't even think everyone needs to run 100. I don't think everyone needs to do a 200. But like, it's okay to own your own actions and your choices and your goals and what is meaningful to you. Not everyone is always excited about that. Not everyone's always going to support you in that. And you have to be okay with that because so much of our pride is wrapped up in that. So often, like, we have a DNF and we say, oh, I let everyone down. That shouldn't be the reason why you're doing what you're doing. It isn't to, like, please people. It isn't so that you impress people. Because, like, when it is time to DNF or when it is time to take care of yourself or you do have a legit injury, it feels that much worse because in your mind, you're believing that everyone cares so much about your goal, that everyone cares so much about what it is that you're doing. And the truth is that isn't the way it is. We all care about our own goals. As humans, we tend to be pretty selfish. And I think that we have people that care in the moment. We have people care in the 24 hours or when that post comes up or when we're talking about it in social media. But we have to get to a point when we are crafting goals for ourselves or when we're sitting in an aid station, we're wondering, like, is this worth it? Is this possible? Do I actually want to push through this discomfort? You have to own that and be okay with not caring what other people think,
Mm.
not caring about other people's opinions. I'll be honest, and Eddie, with you sitting here is just such a great example of this. There's one person in the whole universe that I actually really care about his opinion. It's Eddie. That's it. When I'm out there at the race day, he's my crew chief. And Eddie has seen me up close since I was 18 years old. And he understands my training. He knows my mindset at its core. He knows me better than any human on earth and what I'm capable of. So yeah, that's why you see a lot in the races. He just puts his arm around me and is like, I believe in you, babe. Keep going. When I'm at my worst. And I know some people don't understand that, but we get each other at our core. And there's very, very few things that need to happen to me where Eddie knows that, like, yeah, you're done. But it hasn't happened yet.
Mm.
And I've gotten to the finish line every time. But that's personal to me. So I want you, my listener, to really find grace and encouragement in what I'm saying here. You own your goal. You own your experience. You write your own story. And if you are in pain and you are in such extreme discomfort that you are questioning whether or not you can get to that finish line, it's okay to sit down in an aid station or sit on a rock or sit on a curb if this isn't a road race and take some time. Because I think sometimes that's exactly what we need. We need to differentiate between what is physical emotion, like what's the physical stress and pain, and then what is like the mental emotional pain that we're feeling. And sometimes if you sit long enough, you're like, oh, okay, I'm actually just like super stressed out and overwhelmed with this expectation that I've put on myself or thinking that I'm letting all these people down. Sometimes you sit there long enough and like the physical pain that you're feeling starts to subside or you're able to fix it. Suddenly your belly feels better. Medical comes over and they're like, dude, the ice on your knee, we're working things out right there. You took some ibuprofen or we worked out the feet issue. We wrapped you up. We got some food in your belly. Let's try to just get to the next aid station. and let's call it there. I mean, I've heard so many stories of that where it was like, I really wanted to quit at mile 18 of this 50K, but I was encouraged to just like sit for 30 minutes, take care of as much as I could, and then like make the decision at the next aid station. And that's okay. So slowing down always helps. Taking the time always helps. Telling yourself like, it's okay if my A goal isn't going to happen, but like my B goal is that like, no matter what I want to finish, even if I'm dead last.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, all of that is you owning it. All of that is you, like, you're the master of what happens. Don't let the DNF be dictated by other people's opinions, other people's expectations, or thinking that you're going to let people down. Those are all wrong mindsets to have, because in the end, it doesn't achieve what you're out there, what you're meant to achieve out there. And so, and those end up being very empty goals too. Because what happens is if we set goals solely to impress people, if we set goals solely just to meet other people's expectations, we will cross every finish line disappointed. Because you could be the most perfect person in the whole universe and someone is always going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Someone is going to say, wow, I thought you were going to finish it faster.
Mm-hmm.
Or I thought for sure you were going to on the podium. Or like, I didn't know you were going to walk that much. Or, there's always like some comment that just like destroys people.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's just how life goes. And sometimes those comments, like people are being silly or funny or like they just don't think about it, because at the end of the day, only you are the one who cares about it so much. It means the most to you, as it should. And so I think that pushing through pain is personal to you. What your friend pushes through, that might not be something that you want to push through. If it's a question of like, I want to know it's possible, then take your time adjusting to that. When I first started ultras, I remember I did the Bishop 100K and I dropped down to the 50 mile because I was throwing up. It terrified me. I'd never thrown up ever. I was a soccer player, like maybe felt nauseous with some really hard workouts, but like I'd never thrown up while playing soccer, like in a game, unless I had like the flu. Like it was so weird to me. And so I look back on my career and I'm like, yeah, I've had DNFs and I've had some really scary moments that now when I encounter all those things that used to scare me and I would drop out for, I don't do that anymore. And it's only because I've endured it. It's only because it's happened so many times that I now know how to work it out. I know now how to handle it. And so let yourself learn. Let yourself be a student in those moments. You be the dictator of what it is that you want to do. Don't ever be ashamed of a DNF. I'll tell you what, every DNF I've ever had, the next year, I always ended up winning a race. I always ended up doing something better. I look back at all of them. I've had like 3 or 4 DNFs, but it helped me train better. It helped me work through things better and realize that I was capable of overcoming more than I thought I could.
Yeah, I like that.
So, yeah, I don't ever look down on DNFs. Was I like that when I first started the sport? Yes, absolutely. I was so prideful. And I remember telling, I will never DNF. I remember saying that. I'll never DNF. I'll never quit. I think that like having a DNF is just part of the course. Quitting is like walking away forever. That's what quitting is. So if you quit in the middle of a race, you DNF, you didn't finish, like that's okay. But like get back on the saddle and like try again next year, try again in a couple months. Like don't count yourself out if you have a goal for yourself, even if it means that you have to start over 10 years in a row in order to accomplish it.
Yeah.
Be in the long game. Why not? What's wrong with the long game? Yeah, there are some people that go out, they smash it right out of the park the first time. Awesome. That's their story to tell. What's your story to tell? Own your story, own your pain, own your DNF, own your decisions, because it's your story and no one else can live it for you. And I'm rooting for you in that. I don't think there should be shame in DNFs. I don't think there should be shame in stopping. I don't think there should be shame in just saying, hey, I don't feel like working through this today. This isn't the day. And a lot of times when people feel like that, I'll tell you what, there's other stuff going on in their life. I had a really good friend. He's an amazing athlete. He had some really deep personal stuff he was working through. And when the race got hard, he was just like, I have nothing left.
Yeah.
normally I can push through this, but right now, like, this other part of my life is falling apart, and, like, I don't wanna suffer for the next 50 miles, and he quit. Quit the race, DNF'd. He's still racing. He
Yeah.
still went back to racing, still went back and still doing the things he loves, but, yeah, he went home and had to work through some stuff.
Mm.
And I think, you know what? That's a real life. That's a real story. That's part of his story. That's not anything to be down about. That's not anything to look down upon. I just think that's real life, and I like to expose the real stories. And, you know, that's the truth of for all of us. It isn't always perfect, hard-hitting, go hard, go home, like, toughen up, harden up, like, don't ever quit. The don't ever quit is like, it's like, don't stop trying after every failure. That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in trying again and again and again and again. You are amazing, you're resilient, you're strong, and you're able to overcome. You're also able to own your story and say when you need to take a break, when you need to step off the course, when you need to try again. That's you. And I love to hear those stories. And I think that again, pain is something that's personal to all of us, and we're all on a journey in learning how to interact with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm sure that's super encouraging to a lot of people out there. Yep. So, I mean, you kind of morph Sally Says into kind of the bulk of what you were going to be talking about
Yeah.
anyways, and
That's it.
which is
That was
pretty
it.
cool. That was it.
Yeah, I just went right
Put a
into
bow
it.
on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people need to hear that. I think it's really easy with social media. You whether you're seeing reels and posts of people doing these amazing things, whether that's in the gym or it's high rocks or road running or track or in triathlon, and you're just like, wow, it just seems like everyone all around me is crushing it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we as a society, we glorify suffering in sport. Like we do that more than anything. And we don't really applaud everyday overcoming in a real life. I want to do more of that. You know,
Yeah.
I want to applaud the single dad that's raising 4 kids on his own and working 2 jobs
Mm-hmm.
and putting everyone else first. That's hard.
Yeah.
That's very hard. And that's commitment. We talk so much about commitment just in our training, but like, how about we apply that to our everyday life? Like, and I just want to say well done to our listeners who they show up day in and day out and they put other people first and they commit to their goals in so many other ways outside of the gym. So, yeah.
So, like we were talking about earlier, the Arizona Monster 300 is going on as we speak.
Woo!
And we've been lightly
What
following
do you
along.
think of that distance, Ed? It's actually like
What-
310 miles.
What do I think about it?
Yeah. So the furthest we've gone is
insane.
250.
Yeah,
It's an
insane.
additional 60. So just from a crewing standpoint, like, can you imagine?
No, it's insane. That's
a whole other day.
yeah, that's a long trek.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know the DNF. We were chatting about it because there were quite a few
Friends. We've had
friends,
personal
yeah,
friends that
people
we
from-
love so much that
yeah.
have DNF'd that race, not even halfway through it.
Yeah, and you know, and it shows obviously that this race is pretty gnarly, that it's intense, it's you know, grueling. I mean, obviously it's called the Monster, so it's probably living up to its name right now. But these guys that you know and gals that were super fit, that were, you know, having to tap out because of certain issues, and that's kind of where this DNF topic arose from, and you wanted to speak to. And you know, we did talk about one other thing when it comes to these massive races, and I think you have always said in talking about a new race or an inaugural race where it's hard to jump in because the kinks aren't worked out. And you know, so talk a little bit about the reason I'm bringing this up is because we were talking about how we saw some videos of this race, you know, in particular, that, you know, they're only a few miles in and there are people getting lost already, right? So for whatever reason. We don't know why, but
Well, I think it was Andy Glaze, which we're going to be having Andy Glaze on the podcast to talk about his race experience. I'm super excited about that. But
he
I
can
think
speak obviously more direct to it, but him and the other people were getting lost early on in the race, and for these inaugural races that haven't, they're just kind of getting out there and aren't really tried and true yet. That happens, right? Those are the things that happen. So, what are some wisdom? I know you've shared this in the past, but maybe share it again about if someone's choosing a race, why. I know they're not to discourage them, but what are some reasons why maybe they shouldn't choose an inaugural race, especially for their first race, but like just in general? What are some reasons why you should maybe, or I guess even some tips as to, okay, hey, this is a brand new race. Like, what are some things that they should be looking for in that race as they're signing up for it that would help them like not get lost, or you know what I mean? What are some things they should be looking for?
First and foremost, if the race director already has races, they're going to be more reliable. So in this case, like Candace, she's been race directing for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I don't really know why people got lost in the first couple miles. Like, it could be for multiple reasons that whoever was leading the pack, especially that early in, it was literally just everyone following the pack, which we have all been there in trail racing.
That guy makes one wrong turn, everybody's falling.
Everyone's falling because it's early in the race.
Yeah, you're not paying attention to
You're
the
not
markers
paying
at that
attention.
point. Yeah.
So I wouldn't pin that on Candace.
Right.
That, like, oh gosh.
So it could be that, yeah.
Exactly. And these longer races too, specifically, you are required to carry the Gaia map, the topo map on your phone. And some people download it on their watch. So it's like you are responsible in those longer races. Like you shouldn't be getting lost 3 times in the first 2 miles. But yeah, if you have a rabbit up front that's just like going crazy and not paying attention, and it just looks like, oh, we're all following along, that sometimes happens because yeah, I think the video that Andy showed, there was like 30 people around him. They were all lost. And I'm like, oh, that's a follow the leader loss. That isn't like a race loss. Because I've heard of that happening on road races, where it's someone took a wrong turn and like all the, top 30 pack just followed along.
Yeah.
So that is unfortunate. So when I was doing private coaching, when I used to have a small roster of people that I coached, this before I got my app, one of the things that I would always encourage the roster was do not pick a first year race. And there's enough races out there where and this is particularly for my new runners.
Yeah.
So if you're brand new, and I would say this to like trail and ultra athletes, if you are brand new to the sport and you're trying to learn the sport and how aid stations work and marking and, having gear drop and crew, like all that, it's super overwhelming. And so you kind of want to choose a race that's been around for a while, that has a good reputation, that maybe has even like the registration maybe has a little bit higher numbers. So there's like a lot of people on the start line, or it has like really good reviews, or maybe the race course isn't so treacherous, because especially in trail and ultra, there is a point of pride with some race directors where like they want to be known for having the hardest race. And that was always something too. I'm like, you don't need to choose the hardest race on the planet. Like, what you need to do is learn how to do trail racing. You need to learn how this sport works, how to use your gear, and just all the things. And so choose one that's big, that's fun, that's been established, that isn't going to just absolutely decimate you, that you can just learn how to exist in the sport those first couple times. Like go write a fun story kind of thing. And it's like, that isn't like the end all. That isn't like the rule that you have to follow. But it was like in the most lighthearted way, like something that I would recommend. And it just allows you to build confidence.
Yeah.
So when an athlete would come to me and they're like brand new in trail and ultra, I'd be like, I don't know that race. I've never heard of it. But if you really want to do it, here's a few things that I want you to do first. First and foremost, see if that race director has ever race directed before.
Have some experience.
Yeah, because just because someone's a runner doesn't mean they're going to be a good race director. And like that does help, but like, I'm not kidding. I have been in the middle of a race where at mile 24 of a 50 miler, all of a sudden a volunteer comes out and is like, oh yeah, I guess we didn't have permits for this section. You guys have to turn around here. I'm not kidding. And I'm like, are you joking me right now? Like, this is wild.
Yeah.
Like, how could the race director not know? I signed up for this race 4 months ago
Yeah.
that this whole section needed to be permitted. And sometimes permits get pulled and changed last minute. Like,
Yeah,
sometimes
that's
it's just
true, that's
not
true.
fair.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is the problem with the new races. But when a race is established on trail, typically those race directors have good relationships
Yeah.
with the forest rangers and with the city and like all the things.
Yep.
And so that's just a good sign. Like, yeah, you're not going to get permits pulled, or the course isn't going to be redirected last minute. So that's like kind of why I say that. It's like, it really doesn't have to do with like whether or not you're going to have a fun experience, but is the infrastructure truly set up for you to run that race? Is the permitting set up in place? Does that race director understand all the variables that happen? And so, especially the longer a race that you sign up for, the more variables and opportunities there are for things to go wrong.
Mhm.
Unfortunately,
Mhm.
there is not one 200-mile race that I have done, and I did 5 within an 11-month span, which very few people have ever done that.
Mhm.
But the 5 that I did within an 11-month span, well, one of them was the Mammoth, which I helped create. But the other 4, which have all been established, all of them have had course changes. All of them.
Yeah.
Not one time have any of those races been the exact same course 2 years in a row. They've dealt with fires, flood, rain, having to redo segments, having to redo even dates. You know, when I did Tahoe, it was moved from June to July. I mean, that changed everything. They added on this 8-mile stretch.
I was
Like,
gonna
they
say,
added
even
all these extra miles.
The mileage fluctuates,
yeah.
like 20 plus miles.
Right.
Yeah.
Moab was another great example. I mean, forever, like I think back to when Courtney Dauwalter ran Moab. I mean, I think when she did Moab 240, it was actually only 228 miles. When I did it was like 241 miles, and it was like 18,000 more feet of climb. And there's just so many different things. So you can't really, the further you go in these races, a lot of hundreds are like that. It's like you're now working around all these different variables. So you want to make sure it's like established. You want to make sure that like, okay, this thing's like worked out. I'm not going to get lost. I'm not going to, be turned around in the middle of the race. So what you can do is, if it is like a first year race, you really want to do it, you really believe in it, you think it's going to be run well, I think that it's okay to send the race director a few emails.
Yeah, ask some questions.
Yeah, you need to just ask questions. And I think a race director should, if you are a first year race director and this is your first year doing it, just expect questions to come in, because it's only fair to the people that are signing up for your race, that are paying all this money to travel, to get there, for the registration fee, all of that, putting all their training and focus in on this course. There needs to be questions. So you need to find out how many aid stations there are. It's okay to ask, is this fully permitted? It's okay to ask, like, what do volunteers look like? What are you going to have at the aid stations? What is, do you have medical support out there? Is there emergency support out there? I mean, because I've been at races where it's like, wow, there's one volunteer at this aid station. And that's not always like good, especially if you have 8 people come in and 3 of them need medical care.
Yeah.
And then the other ones are just trying to fill bottles and get food. There's a lot of variables that go into that. So, yeah, I like to lean on, if you're brand new to the sport, choose a race that's been established. And if not, if you're going to do a new one, be okay with researching as much as you can on the website. And then also, if you have any hesitations or any questions, be okay with contacting that race director, and make sure that you feel confident in the race actually happening and being well tracked and I guess just structured for a race day.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Good tips. I like that.
yeah.
Some helpful tips too.
Yeah. And whatever's going on with Arizona Monster, I mean, I think that it's a very, very, very long race.
Yeah. Oh,
and that is such a long race that I think even as that race goes on throughout the years, it'll always have obstacles. It'll always have changing weather that's going to change things. And for a race that long, it's also hard to keep track of markers. I mean, trail bandits are real. And a trail bandit is someone that maybe doesn't like that the race is happening, and so they're going to change course markers, or they're going to tear them down, or it's a bunch of kids that just think it's funny to tear the course markers down. Yeah, it's really hard to manage that much mileage of a course, and so Yeah, I'm excited to see how it plays out and what people's account of it is. I mean, I'm really rooting for
Yeah.
Andy right now
Curious.
to get to the finish line. It's one of the longest. I know there's other races that are out there that we just don't hear of that are longer than this, but I
Yeah.
think because Destination Charles is so well known and Candace started the 200s, like a lot of eyes are on this race right now.
Yeah, I'm on their website right now, and the 2026 is open, Sal.
Yeah.
So,
Do I need to go out and do
want me to
it?
sign you up?
Not yet. I want to interview Andy first.
Yeah, you want to get some more intel?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's land this plane, Sal. Let's land this thing and tell the people what they want right now. Give them some encouragement.
Yeah. Well, to everyone
Sure.
that's still running and training, I just want to tell you, well done today showing up for your training, putting in that good work. And to those that are doing some house cleaning, maybe working on the deck, in the office, driving to or from work, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in and letting me join you in whatever it is that you're doing. I hope that you continue to work toward whatever goal it is. It doesn't have to be running. It doesn't have to be an endurance event. But I hope that you continue to write your own story. And when you have those seasons where, maybe it's time to rest, maybe it's time to DNF, I hope that you don't ever quit on yourself or in believing in what you're capable of doing. Keep coming back to that thing over and over and over again until all your days are through. And know that Eddie and I are going to keep cheering for you and encouraging you to keep choosing strong in all you do.